With all the power the Doomslayer has, he defeated the forces of heaven, the demons of hell, and the Dark Lord. But there are still others who are above all. What's up, everyone? We're back talking about the lore within Doom Eternal. This video will cover questions about the story which are not explained in the game. These questions were brought up during Hugo Martin's latest livestream. A good portion of the stream at the start was Hugo explaining the team's decision as to why they patched the Ancient Gods Part 1. If you don't know, they simply removed some tough enemy spawn encounters to make them a little bit easier for new players. The base campaign is really meant to be an even playing field for all Doom fans. But if you want a real challenge, then that's what Master levels are for. They are still going to make adjustments to that change later on. During his run on Urdak, Josh Boyle brought up the topic of the pallets within a corridor, which are very different. Hugo responded saying that it was supposed to resemble the inside of a body. This is linked to how the Makers started as an AI that became organic beings. They are seen as an alien race, and the world they create is synthetic. Now let's move on to the topic of the Dark Lord and the Doom Guy. So the Dark Lord did not make the Doom Guy. He made the Doom Slayer. There's a difference there, by his powers being transferred into the Doom Slayer through the Divinity Machine. Another topic of discussion which gets a lot of attention is why they look similar. The reason they look alike is hinted in the Codex, but it's only a partial answer. It says this: if it came to pass that the Dark Lord were ever reincarnated in physical form, only another prime evil or something more powerful could slay him. Hugo Martin also left us with a big question. Who creates prime evils? He chose to not answer this question and just leave us with another big mystery. This seems to give the idea that all other prime evils might look like Davoth, or maybe this was the only time this occurred. Like I said, Hugo only gave us a partial answer to this question. But this might be answered in the Ancient Gods Part 2. When the Doom Slayer meets up with Davoth at the throne room on Emora, if you look at the subtitles of the Seraphs within this area, they are labeled as the Ancient Gods. These images are also seen within the crystal ship of the Wraiths. It's just a theory, but I think the Ancient Gods, which might be the Seraphs, are the ones who created Davoth and other prime evils. Here's another bit of backstory. When the Khan Maker is defeated on Urdak, we hear a voice scream out, "No." This was originally set as Mysterious Voice, but in one of the patches, it was changed to the Dark Lord. This caused some confusion because the Dark Lord wanted the Maker race destroyed as they betrayed him long ago. It was then reverted back to Mysterious Voice because it's not supposed to be labeled as the Dark Lord. To clear this up, Hugo Martin said this: the idea that there is something beyond that could be overlooking all this is what that voice is meant to tease. Someone greater than or a step beyond Davoth and the Maker. Like, who's to say that voice is evil or good or who they are? So that voice belongs to someone else. There's more to the Doom story than what is explained in the lore. The topic of Daisy was brought up. The question is about why the Slayer can see Daisy in the game. Hugo said, "I think it's in his head." Now, while it's not a clear answer, it can be interpreted as Daisy being a possible hallucination of the Slayer. He's just seeing images of something he lost long ago, and the memories still haunt him to this day. There's a picture under the desk on the Fortress of Doom. The lore does not say who that is, but Hugo clears it up. He simply says this: it was his wife and kid before all of this stuff happened. One topic I was really curious about is that giant body found on Urdak. There are still many mysteries within Doom Eternal, and this was one of them for the past year. Back in 2020, I did 2 videos covering this topic. The color of the liquid has shades of pink and purple, along with some type of residue at the surface and some mist above it. Steam can be seen in some areas. This could be due to warm temperature or there's some type of chemical reaction. The residue at the surface could be tissue that came off the body. One theory back then was that this liquid is meant to preserve the body. Another theory is it could have been the first Khanmaker body, then its genetic makeup would be used to create future Khanmakers. If it was the first Khanmaker body, that would make it millions of years old. Maybe it was the Khanmaker that was supposed to replace the current one, or a cloned body used for another purpose. When Hugo Martin reached this area in his live stream, he gave us the final answer to this question. He said this: "That is a former Khan. There's always a Khan that leads the Makers, but they're not supposed to rule forever. When the father leaves, the Khanmaker takes over. But as it's said in the lore, this Khanmaker does not want to give up their role of leadership. Without the father, they cannot create another Khanmaker after the last one. So this Khanmaker made a deal with Hell. The Makers would conquer worlds for Hell to devour. The souls of the innocents are used to create Argent energy. Argent energy is then used to avoid their transfiguration process. This would keep the current Khanmaker alive, since they cannot make future Khans without the father." Hugo also said this about the giant being: "TBD as to whether or not that particular maker had gone through transfiguration. In my mind, that's what they become, like giant Cthulhu monsters, and even worse than that." I also want to look back at the Seraphs. The lore says this about them: the very first creations molded from the void in Urdak, Seraphs are bound to the Father's will. In order to prevent the Seraphs from seeking power, the Father ordered that they serve any who reach the Luminarium. The reason I bring this up is that when you meet up with the Dark Lord in the throne room of Emora, the subtitles have those Seraphs labeled as the Ancient Gods. We also see special Seraphs within the crystal ship where you find the Wraiths. They seem to appear anywhere of great importance. So I'm wondering if the Seraphs, or another version of the Seraphs, could be the beings who are above Davath. Perhaps they created him as the first being. Then later on, he made his own creations, one of them being the father who betrayed him later on. This gives me more reason to believe that they are the true gods among all. But keep in mind, this last part about the Seraphs is just a theory that I wanted to add. I think there's a lot of unexplained elements in the story of Doom. This surely cannot be the end. We have yet to learn who is above Davath, who was that mysterious voice, and what their purpose is. There are far too many questions still left in the game. This ending in the Ancient Gods Part 2 does not close the book on everything. Like they said before, they have more stories to tell in Doom. But when will we get those answers? Only time will tell. So that covers a few topics within the lore of Doom Eternal that finally got some answers. If you want to see more videos like this, just subscribe to the channel and leave a like on the video. I'll be doing more updates like this in the future, as we still have many questions left within the story. Thank you for watching. This is Carlos or Acid Glow, and I'll see you next time.